What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Mike from Fous4trading.com. Today, I want to discuss how to utilize the Fous4 over/under strategy, which is a strategy that we teach that is a short selling strategy. So there's two sides to play to the market, as all of you may know. You can buy a stock and play to the long side. You can also make money when a stock drops to the downside, which has worked pretty well lately, especially stocks that have made significant run-ups. Um, and especially with the market lately being so volatile, the Dow especially, if you're watching the Dow intraday and you see it to start to fade, as was evident yesterday, we basically dropped almost 300 points. A lot of stocks that are up big, especially during as the sell-off accelerates, can typically fade off pretty aggressively. So the two stocks that I want to discuss today, one of them being TTPH and the other one being I. So first criteria for a short, guys, typically I like to short stocks that make at least at a minimum 50 to 100% move to the upside. This way, that leaves room for a possible 10 to 20% pullback. So TTPH was a stock that had a huge gap down all the way from about 550 to $2, and basically consolidated at around $2, and we had the nice bounce play, which typically happens when these stocks gap down pretty significantly. So going from $2 to $3 is basically a 50% move. So ideally, what you want to look for, especially the 13 EMA, which is a great short-term trend indicator on the daily, once a stock is below that and starts to approach it below it, that can act as resistance. So you can see TTPH had a nice run-up, and then pre-market we peaked out at 334, and then the breakdown zone was exactly at about 312. So that's your resistance, unless that is broken and the trend can reverse. That's basically your stop. So the key with the over/under strategy, everybody, is to get in over the whole number, establish a resistance point, and this being 312 and about 330, and playing the stock to the downside. The key is to really have that sniper mentality, in my opinion, and get those good prints over the whole number. A lot of people will see the whole number crack, and then they start chasing in the 90s or 80s, and sometimes you're not getting the best print. You want to really be green immediately off of the whole number sell-off, which was pretty evident. TTPH, right at the open, within the first 5 minutes, we retested 310, and then within the next 1, 2, 3 minutes, we were all the way back to about 384. So that's basically 7 to 8% drop relatively quick. At that point, you have your over/under fail, and what you want to do is see how the stock acts. Whenever it goes to reattempt to break over that whole number again. If it fails and looks weak on the tape, you can usually short it for further downside, especially using that whole number 3 or even the 90-cent area below. So this is a perfect example of breaking down the whole number. We had two reattempts at about 295, 296, where it failed on all low volume relative to the morning, especially you can see the massive selling in the morning. And your low of day from the morning was at about 278, and that was the level that if we cracked, we were probably going to head lower. And once we did crack it, this ended up fading all the way down to about 260. So a perfect 10 to 20% pullback utilizing the over/under strategy. It's really not as complicated, in my opinion, as everyone makes it seem. The key is to make sure you have that sniper mentality and you get in over that whole number so that you are in the driver's seat pretty quick. So the other one that was a great example was stock that's basically run from about 225 all the way to $5 yesterday. And this was SSR. I think that shorts just got squeezed out of this. But again, peaking out over $5. You can see historically, I'd say this 520 area is pretty significant. And basically peaked out over 5. You can see 515 was the high, and then we basically just get this really nice flag breakdown over 5, and literally went from $5, guys, to 440 within 10 to 15 minutes. So even within 30 minutes of getting in from 510 all the way down to about 540, that's basically a 10 to 15% drop relatively quick. So this is the types of stocks that we like to trade, playing that panic to the downside on the short, getting in over that whole number after a potential 50 to 100% move. And a key thing, in my opinion, is tape reading, guys. When the stock is over the whole number, watching the level 2, watching the time and sales, basically looking for patterns and seeing how the stock is reacting over that whole number. And when you see some form of weakness, you really want to look to strike and get in over that whole number. So this is our short selling strategy that's been working pretty well lately. To see this live, watch us trade every morning, guys. Fous4trading.com.